Okay, let's get started. Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's online safety training. Uh, Train IT Live with me, Mr. Jay Smithson. Thank you very much for joining this new event. As it was, we're going to run through. It should take us about half an hour to get through the complete lot, and yeah, we'll be able to go through answer any questions as we go. So, what we're going to be covering, we're going to do a quick introduction. We're going to look at the risks around online safety. We're going to look at the advice that we can give and we can support and we can offer to parents, to school staff as well, and to the children. We're going to look at the best ways to report it, and we're going to look at we're going to go through a couple of conversational starters as well on how you can spark that kind of conversation with your children. Online safety is a bit of a tough topic to go through. It has got many layers to it, many different aspects to it. Um, but hopefully this short little training session will give you a few more ideas on how you can bridge that gap with your children as well. So an introduction, a little bit about me. Hopefully you all know me from joining today, but my name's Sean Smithson. I'm an IT manager at a primary school. I'm online safety lead for the school as well. And I've created this kind of session today to discuss online safety, discuss the impact, discuss the advice that we can give to parents, give to yourselves, and then look at how we can mitigate that as well in the bigger, wider world to protect more people online. The training series itself is going to run weekly, as mentioned, with loads of different sessions covering loads of different topics. Some will be live, some will be recorded, and they'll all be ready for people to view as we go through. So when we think about the risks of online safety, we think about the different areas of online safety. We think about the different parts that come together that build the bigger picture of online safety, formerly e-safety. There's the 3 C's that we refer to all the way through. And we'll come on to that in just a couple of minutes. But there's a couple of questions there just on the screen just to think about throughout the session to build that picture as well. Here at the beginning, what does your child love doing online? And what services or devices do they use? So that could be playing games, talking on social media. It could be watching videos on YouTube. What devices do they use? So they might have a phone, they might have an iPad, they may have an Xbox or a PS4 or another game console that they use. And e-safety and online safety covers all aspects of that. There is no one size fits all. Everything is unique, everything is individual for everyone, but the core foundations remain the same. So the first is conduct. So thinking about how we conduct ourselves online, what that kind of impact can have. So children need to be aware of the impact that their online activity can have. Okay, it's not just on themselves, but also on others. So saying stuff online, doing stuff online can impact them, but it can also impact and have a bigger effect on the people around them, their friendship groups, their families as well. The internet is a very vast place, and unfortunately, on some occasions, uh, people aren't who they say they are. People aren't who they seem to be, um, and it's the kind of the learning curve and the learning outcome that we need to foster that kind of nurturing environment for kids. With the digital age that we now live in, the first thing that a parent will do is, the kid's been naughty, so I'm going to frisbee an iPad at them to make them feel a little bit happier. But um, with that responsibility of frisbeeing them an iPad to make them calm down and make them be happy, we also need to make sure that we're giving them the correct structure and the correct knowledge and understanding to ensure that they're safe as well. And sharing information online can be done without even thinking twice. So you could post something, you could put something in a comment, you could share a video of something, which could, in the background, have some personal information. It could show your address, it could show the front of your house. And as soon as people get hold of that, it can be a very slippery slope down. So one of the big things I always say, and one of the things that I kind of advocate, is be social media safe. And it does make a nice little kind of a nice little kind of anagram. So the S is for sharing, A is for access, F is for friends, and E is for expectations. So you want to train people to understand what they're sharing, why they're sharing it, what kind of comments they're putting on, what kind of impact can that have. We want people to understand the access, so who can see that information, who can see what they're posting, who can gain access to more information or being able to contact them. Friends, understanding who they're friends with, whether actually the people that they're adding as a friend or thinking they're adding as friends from school, are they actually who they think they are and who they say they are? And then what is the expectation around that? So, what are the underpinning expectations for you and for your children to be safe online? What kind of expectations have you set with your children so that you can ensure that they are safe constantly online? So, being social media safe and understanding that is a really, really important point. There is loads of content as well around being social media safe and the work that I've done on that, and I'll come on to how you can access that very shortly. So, part of social media and part of everything that people post on social media is content. Content is everywhere. Content is stuff that you read in a newspaper. Content is stuff that you see on YouTube. Content is an Instagram post, a new photo that they've put up for their profile picture. Not all of that content is safe for children to view. It's not always appropriate, depending on the age of the child, but it it can be accessed through a number of different ways as well. So the content can be accessed through online games. It can be accessed through live streams from their favorite YouTubers, and it can be accessed through various websites as well. It could simply be a YouTube video, and halfway through there's an advert that might not be age appropriate for your child, depending on their age. So content can vary, and it's important to understand and to have the trusting conversation, the trusting discussion points with your children so that you understand and they understand that if they do see a bit of content, what are the steps that they need to do to make sure that they remove themselves from that. Content can also be from comments. So if they're watching a live stream, they can see comments coming through in the left-hand side, or it could be a chat function on a game. And it's understanding that if we see a harmful bit of information, or if we see a message that comes through that might not be as kind or might not be as respectful, what are the steps that we need to do to make sure that we can remove ourselves from that situation really simply? And building a safe environment. So some people can build a safe environment. They can make sure that all the devices are restricted, but other people don't have that skill set. They might not have the understanding on how to restrict an iPhone. They might not understand how to do it. So it's all about building that safe environment. If you can't, make sure you have an open conversation with your children. Make sure you seek advice, whether it be from useful websites like ChildNet or the NSPCC, and make sure you have that kind of open conversation that your child knows that they can come and speak to you, that they ensure that they are only adding people they need to add and that they're seeing the content they want to be able to see. So the third C is our contact. So what do we do if something isn't going quite right? What is the contact that people are having? So this comes back to the communication, the chat functions, the comment functions, all of that kind of stuff as well. Um, and it's important that everyone understands children's contact, who's communicating with them online, is the friend that they've just added, who they say they are, um, and then what are the next steps for that. So understanding that any kind of form of social media platform is age rated at 13 and above. That's a pretty in some cases, I would say it's too low. In other situations, I would say it could get away so long as they address some of the features on it. But all social media is either 12 or 13 and above, because it's got a chat function on it, because it's got the ability for people to communicate one to one, either publicly or privately. Um, Obviously, working in schools, doing online safety in schools, and the Safer Internet Days, which is the international program, you do see a lot of people coming back and forth saying, "Oh, I use this game, or I use this social media platform." And obviously, working in primary education, everyone is below the age of 13, so it does start to cause kind of a lot of not so much red flags, but it starts to cause a lot of talking points as to, no, how have you got access to that? Why are you on here? Do you know that you shouldn't be on here? And it provides for this kind of training sessions to take place. Friends should only be added to an account by an adult. So one of the good ways to restrict and to ensure that you're mitigating that middleman ground of the child just clicking on a random name saying, "Oh, that looks like a good name, I'll add that," or someone messaging saying, "Oh, I'm your friend from school, please add me," to any 6 or 7-year-old who just wants to make friends and just wants to play games and talk to people, they'll just click add and it'll be through straight away. So by mitigating that fact and ensuring that the parent is the only person that, whether it's locked behind a PIN code or they have to gain full parental permission before they can add that friend. And it also allows the parent to actually verify if that person is who they say they are, whether that be today, say it's little Timmy trying to add little Johnny on whatever game it is. It's ensuring that the parent makes that conversation and makes that contact to the parent saying, is this actually your child's account? It may seem a little bit long-winded, but it's mitigating the factors going forward. And if you do have any concerns, near enough all school websites should have it listed under the e-safety. I know the school websites that we do, or I do have them listed, and it's the COP service. COP is a great website. It's great for reporting. It's got loads of useful facts on there. It's an important website to understand. And there should near enough be a link to COP on every website. There are a couple other websites that we can go through shortly as well, which kind of showcase that kind of reporting system and how we can ensure that we are passing the information on to the right people. So one of the biggest things we see, especially in education as kids are growing up, especially as they start playing games, they're playing Roblox and they're on TikTok and all this kind of stuff, is the cyberbullying. Cyberbullying can be done in many different ways, from, as it says, unkind messages or comments, sharing embarrassing photos, or exclusion from a group chat. That may not seem like a lot to people, to adults. It may not seem, oh, someone's just removed me from a group chat, so obviously not need anymore. To a kid, that could be make or break. That could be the really cool kids have kicked someone out that they don't think is very good anymore, and that to the kids is a massive deal. Why have I been taken out of this group? Why have I been excluded from this friendship group or whichever? And that can cause a lot of anxiety within the child. It can cause, a lot of upset that, hang on, I've been excluded. Why have I been excluded? Sharing embarrassing photos can do the exact same thing. So it's about understanding the different areas that cyberbullying can kind of have really, and what the impact in that can be. I would also say that children need to understand the actions they do online. Many kids will just think, oh, I've got a slightly cool, quirky name on Xbox, for example. If I send someone a message, it's not going to come back to me. It's not going to be. If the person knows who it is and they know that it's them doing it, it can be, as I say, just as harmful as actions they do in real life. Saying something verbally, whether it be on an Xbox game via the headset or on social media via a chat message, can be just as bad as probably going up to someone and slapping them on the arms, or even worse. There's a very fine line between what is acceptable and what isn't acceptable online, and it's getting worse in the modern age with more people having access to it. So stuff we do online can be, and in some instances is worse than stuff that we do in real life face to face as humans. So it's about understanding the barriers and understanding where the limits lie, and creating that kind of trust zone with the child that you understand what is appropriate, you understand what isn't appropriate, and how that kind of fits into their kind of everyday life. Let's just have a quick drink. That's a lot of talking very quickly. And it comes back again to being social media safe. So it's that kind of expectation and what kind of access they have, who they're talking to, who they're communicating to. And again, the underlying thing, coming back to inappropriate messages, which can be done through cyberbullying or separately when you talk about different kind of exploitations or anything like that. Any message that comes through that contains inappropriate content, whether that be a message, video, picture, a voice recording, anything like that, a link to an inappropriate website to anyone under the age of 18, needs to be reported to the police directly, and that's where COP comes in. COP's a great website for doing either anonymous or linked reporting. They deal with it all in house. As soon as you click the report button, it can be done, and it's about building that trust. That actually the first step should be yes, your child comes and talks to you, has that conversation, gives them a bit more understanding, and then the next steps that you do is that you collect the kind of the evidence against it and report it straight to COP. And we'll touch on that in the advice section. But it's about the whole thing around online safety and the whole thing around being safe online and using the technology that you have in a safe way, is that you have this level of trust and understanding between everyone in the household that as soon as something goes wrong, these are the steps that we're going to do to put in place. And it works exactly the same in schools. In my school, if something goes wrong, or there's a case of cyberbullying or whatever it may be, yes, it gets reported straight away to senior leadership, but who's the first person they come and ask for advice? That's me. There's always a chain of reactions of what it needs to be, and that kind of chain of reaction needs to be implemented into more households. Parental supervision at all times on technology devices and all this kind of stuff. I know it can be difficult, but having that understanding and how we restrict devices as well, we'll touch on very shortly. So when we think about advice around online safety. So when we look at online contact again, inappropriate messages, these are the kind of bits of advice that a lot of the big charities within the game, the NSPCC, ChildNet, um, other companies like IWF and all that kind of stuff. These are the kind of the top tips that they do. So it's all about having, again, open discussion. It's about discussion online friendships with your child, understanding that um, they don't need to give out personal information. They should never agree to meet someone that they've never already met face to face. It may seem that kind of a thought process might seem a bit backwards, that well, if I want to meet someone face to face, then I need to agree to go and meet them. That's perfectly fine. Well, it's not. You should, if you're adding someone online, you don't know who that person is, and that's what it comes back to. And I know there's a lot of fit going around that everyone is always told never talk to anyone online, don't add anyone, or don't go and agree to meet someone you've never met online. The issue is it's still continuing, and for children nowadays, it's getting worse and worse because of the exposure that they have in technology. Some schools are fortunate and do have a lot of technology and do have the time to put in um, extra e-safety lessons on top of the compulsory ones that they have to do. But it's also good to start reinforcing it in the household, that we discuss online friendships. We discuss, yes, you might be friends with them on a game, but do you know that that person is actually a 6-year-old or a 10-year-old in real life? There's a couple of different ways to think about it. The next one seems really simple to everyone, or I'd like to hope so, and it's ensuring that they understand that no personal information should ever be shared with someone they've never met. So that means that they're not talking to someone online and they go, "Oh, you should come round. Here's my full address. Here's my phone number. Here's, my postcode and everything. Here's how to find me. Let me just send you a Google Maps link." Um, it's about giving that trust and giving that kind of um, background knowledge of what can be said online, what can't be said online, and how you can share it. Um, and again, it comes down to the parents, you guys, having a more clear understanding of how social media platforms work. So there was an incident with Snapchat a couple of months ago, which I posted about, that one of their settings had changed, and you could click on someone on their Snap Map feature if they were sharing their location with you. You could click on the person, you could click on the map, and it would give you direct. It would open up your Apple Maps or Google Maps, and it would give you direct driving instructions or walking instructions on how to get to that person to the nearest meter or so. So that already causes a massive issue. If your child has got Snapchat and they're sharing their location with everyone that goes onto the app, people can just click on it and arrive at your house without you even knowing that they've seen your child's Snapchat account. Um, it's so open, and it caused a lot of ruffled feathers within the kind of technology in the EdTech world. And that's why we kind of jumped all over that quite quickly, because understanding that actually, if I go onto my settings and I turn my Snapchat feature to only me, no one else can access my location. So it's understanding that yes, sometimes your personal information might be your email address, your phone number, your kind of physical house address, but also it can be the location that your social media is tracking you on 24/7, 365, and how that can be exploited. Um, Point number three is something we've discussed already quite a lot, and it's building that trust zone with them, ensuring they feel safe to come and talk to you. Whether it be online conversations, showing you the kind of the information that's already been sent, or around anything really, having that zone of trust around anything to do with technology is a massive, massive win, because then it's more open conversation, more learning, not just for you but for your children as well. And again, if you do have concerns about anything or any conversation, no matter the nature of it, and we think it's a little bit, if you think it's a little bit iffy, always double check. It might turn out to be nothing, but you always double check. So some top tips for especially when you're kind of reporting it. Um, Ensure you save the evidence. So if it's on social media, you can take screenshots using the phones. If it's on a game, you can always grab a camera, or you can screen record through most games consoles nowadays. Keep the evidence. If it's a conflict between two children at school, make sure you report it to your school directly. If it is a situation where it is could potentially cause significant harm, I would report it to your school and also directly report it to the police at the same time, so that the harm can be mitigated as much as possible. And then block users in all forms from future contact. So if it's one person that's got you on Snapchat, Twitter, TikTok, and all that, make sure you block them on all of them, because if you mitigate on one, it can move to the other, and then it slowly spreads all the way through. I believe the next, the other slide. I don't know where that one's gone. There is a nice graphic somewhere which I will share, which shows you blocking and how to do it. Top tips around having children on devices, having children using technology. Um, Consider setting up a family shared email address. Now that could just be something really, really bog standard and simple, but what it means is whatever social media or whatever game or any account that your child sets up, they can use it on that email address. What that then means is you then have the power that if it starts going bad or there is further issues, you can either log into the account, but it also means you could, hit forget password, send it back to that email address. You're the only one with the email address. You reset the password and it locks the child out of the account. 95% of the time, I'd say you wouldn't have to do that. It would only be the really, really extreme cases. And what we don't want to see and what we tell parents not to do is as soon as something goes bad, you take the device off the child and you ban them. That's not going to teach them anything. It's not going to help them learn. It's not going to help you guys learn or progress either. The best thing to do is, okay, something's happened. You've received this comment. You've received whatever. That's fine. Here's how we'll block it. Here's how we're going to be safe in the future. Here's the next steps we're going to do. Ripping an iPad out of a child's hand and saying, no, let's go back on here until this is sorted. I'll sort this, isn't going to teach them anything. All they're going to do is then be more afraid to use the device and actually limit their self and self progression going forward. Um, the next kind of 3 points kind of linking together. So encouraging your child to always think before they post something. Again, that could just be a silly video that could then backfire with them in the future. It could be something that displays what the front of the house looks like, which makes it an easy target as soon as someone knows the kind of area. It could be something as simple as they've taken a photo in the hallway of your house, and on the side is a letter that's got your full address and postcode on. You might think it's innocent, they might think it's innocent, but to someone who's looking at that post in a malicious way, all it takes is for them to zoom in, and they'll be able to find out what's going on. The next one, lead by example. As a parent, we'd hope that everyone led by an example, and that means that you kind of practice what you preach. You're not telling your child to go off and do something, but then you're going off onto your Facebook and you're firing comments left, right, and center, hurling abuse at everyone. Because as soon as they see that, they'll think, "Well, hang on a second, I'm being taught and I've been told not to do this, not to do this, not to do this." But it's perfectly fine to you to do it. So, lead in by example and discuss the content that you are going to share with your child. You know, it could be, "I'm going to put this post up. This is what I'm going to do. Here's how I'm doing the settings on Facebook so that only my friends can see it." Or, "I've posted this and I don't want it to be on there. Here's how I'm going to delete it." It's building that knowledge together, and slowly you'll bring up the core understanding within the house of what is appropriate, what is inappropriate, and if it's not appropriate, how can I go back and change it? How can I go back and fix it? And then ensure your child knows what to do if they see something they don't want to see. That could be content on a YouTube video, it could be an Instagram post. How do they report it? How do they go through block that account? How do they go through what the steps they're going to take? Are they going to come show it to you? Do you sit down together and do it? Do they get to a point where they know what they're meant to see, what they're not meant to see, and you block it? It's about finding that middle ground and finding the balance of what works best for you. So restricting accounts and devices, massive, massive, massive. Um, for anyone with children under the age of 13, um, near enough the top four that shouldn't be on. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok shouldn't be on. It causes more hassle at times than what it's worth. If you're using it for a professional environment, yes, it's good. Everyone uses social media. Is a massive way to promote stuff, but it can also be a massive way to cause harm and to cause grief against someone. So anyone with children under the age of 13 or 12 shouldn't be on the top four. I'm not going to say if they are, but here's how you can restrict your Facebook account um, should you need to. Um, the amount of privacy settings and the amount of account settings that are built into all four of these is phenomenal, and they're getting more and more restricted as the years go on and as devices come out and as the digital era that we're living in develops further, to the point where I could post a post on Facebook and my Facebook account could be totally open, completely open. I can lock down a specific photo, I can turn off comments, I can do all this kind of stuff. So ensuring that your Instagram account or any of the top four, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, is completely locked down. You don't share any personal information. You can restrict that within your privacy settings. You can turn Instagram and Twitter to be a locked account within the settings tab and privacy, so that only people that you accept as being your friends on those accounts can actually see the post you put up. It's not just a random thing. Facebook, you can do the exact same thing. There's a few more steps to do it though, because you have to do it section by section. But what I would ensure is that you turn your post settings to be only friends. You can set it so that everyone can see it. So if they do open up your Facebook, yes, everything else will be locked down, but it might be a nice picture of the beach that you want to be showing from 2 years ago. It's entirely up to you how you want to do that part. But what I would suggest is by default, your friends list is hidden from the public. Your personal information is probably hidden from everyone, and your post settings are set to only friends. You can set it to friends of friends. So if I have a mutual friend with someone, I can see it. I don't really see the point in that. If someone wants to see the content, they should add you as a friend. As long as you know who they are, you should add them back. TikTok is absolutely taken off. I hear no end of comments about TikTok this, TikTok that. Again, restrict it. Make sure it's set to only you. Realistically, there shouldn't be any need to post anything onto TikTok, especially for young children. Yes, as they get older into teenage years and get older into young adults, they do all the crazy trends and they do all this and they try and become TikTok famous. That's great. Fantastic for them if that's what they want to do and that's how they achieve it. But ensure that comments are locked down, your page is restricted. iPhones are fantastic to restrict. Same with iPads. Androids are getting there as well. You can restrict not just what the age rating is for apps they can download or music they can view or what websites they're allowed to go on. You can turn off apps completely if you don't want them to access FaceTime and stuff like that, or you don't want to access iMessage. Ensure you spend the time to go into the restrictions, go through each section individually, go through, make sure you're locking down their iMessages, their photos, their photo streams, all that kind of stuff, and just take the time to to think about how you're doing it, but also to review it as they get older. So understanding that actually they might now be allowed to access this kind of a website or this kind of an app, and it's just building that kind of knowledge. There's loads of useful guides online, and I'm going to make sure that I post them as well. Games consoles is a bit of a tricky one, but can be done as well. Again, in the settings and privacy settings on most of them, you can limit who's allowed to add friends, whether you actually allow them to add friends or not. You can set passwords so that you have to input a password before you can add anyone. You can turn off chat features, you can turn off multiplayer games, you can turn off pretty much anything. Again, head into the settings, explore the settings, see what you can find, um, build your own knowledge as you go through it. But there will be some instructional posts coming as well, on how we go through each device and how we lock it down. So how do we report? Here's the graphic. So it's really, really simple. So for things like YouTube, you can do a specific point in the YouTube video that you need to report. You can add provisional details to it as well. Snapchat, again, hit the report, hit the account, hit the three dots, hit report, let them know why you're reporting it. Facebook as well. Instagram, you can go through, you can either report a post, you can report an account, you can block and you can restrict accounts now as well. So you can limit them from seeing certain stuff for you, or you just blank out block them. The nice thing about what Instagram has now introduced is that you can also block future accounts that person makes. So say it's an account, they go through and then make another one that's either got the same name, same phone number, same email address, it will automatically block that account. So you're stopping, you're mitigating that chain from happening. Roblox, I can't give too much of an answer on because I've never actually played it. But what I have heard is when you go into the menus bar, you can obviously hit the report button. You can select the precise player's name, go through what kind of abuse it was, and give them a short description on that. Near enough all games also come with a video capture function. So when you report, they can actually watch back and hear the live chat going on, so they can report specific points in that as well. So the world is kind of slowly evolving and getting more and more advanced in how they're reporting stuff. So there's 3 websites there which are really good to report. So report-content.com, you can actually send them content from social media platforms, games, videos, all that kind of stuff. Report specific content, they'll look into it for you. COP, again, for exploitations and inappropriate messages and all that kind of stuff. They'll be in direct contact as soon as you hit that report button. And the IWF as well for reporting online content and things that you see online. And that's about it. So that's a really, really quick whistle stop tour for today on how to keep safe online. Kind of a bit of an introduction to it. There's going to be loads more of these coming out, loads more content coming out. So just keep an eye out, and hopefully you found it useful. And yeah, thank you very much.